Okay, so the next step is going to be for us to add a bit more power to these rays. And the first thing we can do is just add an HSV. And let's add some power to this. So a value scale of 10. Might be too strong, we'll see about that in a moment. So this is going to be the first layer. Maybe 10 is too much. Let's go with 8. So this is us giving more power to the rays. But we will need more layers on this. Okay, this just like this. We need some glow effect on this. And usually on your compositing software, you will have an operator just for glow. In this case, we don't have a glow inside Houdini, so we'll just have to make one ourselves. And the first step for a glow is usually some blur. So let's create a blur. Let's just work on the rays for now. Let's create a blur, and let's say 32 pixels. So this is a good amount of blur for now. Next, we're going to be kind of just desaturating this a bit. Let's add an HSV. It's a very practical node. So I'm just going to kind of lower the saturation of this a bit, maybe 0.8. Okay. And maybe also increase the value of this to 8. So we're getting there. So we have this first layer, and this is going to go on top. This is going to be our first layer of noise. So you can think about it like this. So let's say you have a ray with this thickness, and this is going to be very strong, very strong. And then on top of this, we're going to add something that's a bit less strong. Let's say something a bit less strong, but it's going to be kind of blurry. And then on top of this, we're going to add something that's even less strong, but with a higher amount of blur. Okay, that's the principle of what we're going to be doing here. So this is going to be the strong middle piece. This is going to be the middle level blur, and then we can just copy this, and on this second one we're gonna go, instead of 32, let's go with the double 34. We'll also add an HSV to this just to kind of desaturate this a bit more, 0.2. And finally we'll see how this looks. So I'm gonna first add these two. Let's create a layer. Let's add this and this. We'll use an add. And regarding the alpha, I want to make sure that this is just same as above. In this case, I'm just gonna leave it. It's fine. And so we have this, and we're going to be adding this on top of this. This element is being composited with an over, but we're going to create a layer, an extra layer, because the blur and the glow, we want to add it to what we have before. We have below with an add. Okay, so we have a lot more power on our rays. Okay. One nice little trick, though, that we can actually add to this is on one of the layers, we can apply kind of a different color, and it's going to look really, really hot. Let's apply an HSV, or better yet, let's apply color correct. It's a bit more complex of a node, but it gives you a lot of control. Okay, shadows, midtones, highlights, and you'll have add, multiply, gamma, and contrasts with 3 channels. So this is great. But for us, we just want to kind of add a bit more red to the middle blur layer. Okay, and notice the difference between having and this, and this. Don't know if you can really see it. It's very subtle, but you can see it here. Okay, there's a slight reddish tone now being added to this. That's going to make it look even warmer, even hotter. Okay, Now, if you notice, the intensity of this is quite strong, so I'm going to try to balance this out a bit. So maybe the middle layer doesn't need to be as strong, maybe 4. Maybe this layer, the mid layer of blur can also kind of go down a bit, or maybe not, kind of like it like that. And this one, we're using an HSV of 4, maybe 1 would be enough. Yeah, otherwise it just gets too thick. So this looks good. My main concern now is that the reflections are kind of very blue and not as bright as this, and they need to be brighter. So it's really nice that we already have that control. So here on the HSV, let's say we want to desaturate the reflections a bit. Done, 0.9 or 0.8, and the value can go to 10. And now we have more, let's say 0.5, maybe 0.6 on the reflection saturation, maybe 0.7. Just have to give it a try and see what works best for you. 20 here. Okay, very hot. It's definitely a better match now. 0.8 on the saturation, and here maybe 12 is enough, or 16. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 16 for now. Okay, so now these are a better match. This section, I'm gonna kind of try to organize this a bit better. So on this section, we're essentially just creating the glow effect to add the main ray. It really helps to keep things organized. So make sure that you find your style. Mine is a bit like this. I'm just gonna select everything and put network box here. And another thing that I'm going to do is add a note, create a note, and notes are great. I'm going to say adding main ray, and then you can just right click on it, select text size, let's say medium, and we can hide background, and then you just have the text and you can just put it here, and that way you know that this is the section that adds the main ray. Here we're kind of recreating kind of a glow effect that we're adding on top of everything. Great, so we've pretty much done everything. Now from this point on, it's basically just a matter of applying the same logic, the same principles, but to the other ingredients. Okay, so I mean, the secondary rays, it's going to be exactly the same thing, and the sparks is also going to be very similar. We're going to go over that in a moment.